Hello and welcome to the 13th episode of Learn RubyMotion. In the last episode, we built this application where we had the UI tabs and we can move from a static to dynamic tab, and then we can also list all the languages. Previously, when we clicked on more, then we got the blank canvas. This time we see two sections, security and app version sections. So this is exactly what we are going to build in this episode. So let's look at the code. So the first thing to notice here is that unlike a standard table, we are going to use what is called a grouped table view. So in the case of group table view, what we need is that we need to define sections. So that's why we have here two sections. One is the security section here at the top, and then app version sections. You can have as many sections as you want. So here I have security section, and then I have a log code row number 0. That will be the first row. Second row is clear log code. Third is logout. And then I have number of rows in the section, which is 3. Similarly, in the app version, I have the section number itself is 1. That's because security section is starting with 0. Everything is 0 index based here. And app version row number, in this case I have only one row which has 0, and number of rows in app version section in this section is also 1. And here are some constants. So in the init method, we do init with the style UI table view style grouped. By defining it as a UI table view style grouped, the section labels are nicely laid out. I will show you the version by commenting out this line, and we will see what the difference is. The rest of the lines are exactly same as the previous version, where we are creating a tab bar and we are allocating that to the tab bar item, and then we are setting up the title. In the case of view did load, we have the super. And this is where we define how many sections we have. So number of sections is 2. And then once we get the table view number of rows in section, then if the index path is 0, then we pass in that. For the first case, the number of rows in security is 3. And for the second section, we have the number of rows as 1. Okay. Now let's talk about how to actually render the table cell. So this is pretty standard boilerplate code at this time. We do DQ reusable cell with identifier, cell ID. We do user interaction enabled is true. We set the color, RMQ color. Okay. Now let's look at the section. When the method is invoked, then we get index path, and index path can give us the row number and it can also give us the section. So here we check for the section. If the section is security section, then we call this method display non-version section, and then if we have app version section, then we display version section. So let's look at this code. So here we do index path dot row, and if it is the first row, which will be log code row number, then we set the text, which is set log code here. And since this is where we want to indicate to user that something can be done, we set cell.accessory type to UI table view cell accessory disclosure indicator. So by having this line, we get this small arrow over here, which indicates that user can take some action for that row. The second row is clear code row number, which is 1, and in this case we set the text. And the third one is logout. Here also we set the text. Since we are here, let's also look at display version sections. So in this case we have only one row, and for that row we set the text. We said that enabled is false, there is nothing to interact with here, and we set the text as 001. Now if I click on this thing, then I get this message, set log code functionality is coming up. And that is because here when a particular cell is selected, then this method is invoked, this select row at index path. So I get the selected cell. From the selected cell, I'm getting the text and I'm matching the text. If the text is clear log code, then we say clear log code functionality is coming up. Set log code, then we say set log code functionality is coming up. And in the case of logout, we say logout functionality is coming up. That's it for this episode. In the next episode, we will try to build the actual passcode functionality, which we would show in the case of set log code. Thank you very much and Happy New Year.